Hey you guys, it's Amy Gretchen. Welcome back to another Project Life process video. Today I'm working on week 38 from 2016. And the first thing that I wanted to do is I've got these two small 3x4 photos and I want to back them with a 3x4 card. So I just have these blank white 3x4 cards and I want to put some journaling on them. So I'm going to show you how I did that in InDesign. Okay, you guys, I'm here in InDesign and I'm working on this template, which is from Life Captured. Now, don't let this frighten you. This is something you could actually do in Word, in Photoshop Elements. It's just that this document that I got from lifecaptured.com is an InDesign document. And of course, I'm familiar with this software, so that's why I'm using it today. It seems like it would be difficult to learn. It's actually not. But I just wanted to show you what's included in this actual document. It's got a bunch of 4x6 layouts with photos and places that you can set your journaling. So really it's here so you can click on this and I can highlight it and I can add my own photo and I can change the date and add some text here and then print it off. It's a really easy way to be able to add photos and some text right into your project life. So I really love these documents. The one that I want to use right now for my layout is this one. So I can add some journaling and then add my photo right on the 4x6. So as you can see, this photo here is a 3x3 and I want to add a 3x4. So in order for me to know how much space I get to use for my journaling, I want to adjust this to it for a 3x3. Now I could, or excuse me, a 3x4. I could adjust this just by moving it out, but I want to just do it easier and I'll come up here to the width and the height and I will change it to a 3x4. Now I can see here that I'm in millimeters and I can also see here that I'm in millimeters. And if I don't want to do this in millimeters, I could right click and I could come down to inches and it's going to change to inches, and you can see that my width is changed to inches, but my height is still millimeters because it's still millimeters here. I can leave that if I want because I'll show you. I'll just put in a 4 up top and then I'll just do a 3 and I'll write in inches, and so it'll tell me that 76.2 millimeters is 3 inches, or I could right click on here and change it to inches and then it will change it up here. So you can definitely change that based on your needs. So I'm going to move this photo over to where I want it. And I'm not going to worry too much about where it's placed because I am going to delete this before it gets printed. I actually don't want it to print. I want it to help me figure out my placing. So now I'm going to go over to the text tool and I'm going to come here and I'm going to click on this text. You can see that I'm not able to click on that. And it's because this layer is locked. So I'm going to come over to my layers, and if it's not showing up here, you want to come up to Windows and down to Layers right here. If it's not showing over here in this tool palette. And then I'm going to come over where I can find Edit Your Text. And I'm going to toggle down and you can see that there is a lock on it. So if I unclick that lock, then I'm able to now click on this journaling. So I want to go back to the selection tool because I want to select this journaling box and I'm going to just move it over, and I'm going to move it over to about here. I'm not going to worry about this padding. I'm not worrying about it being exactly against the photo because I want there to not be as much padding between the photo and the journaling here. So I'll just move it over and then I'm going to do a little bit of adjusting. So let's see. And I'm just going to change the date. And then I didn't want you to have to watch me type this out, so I've loaded some text here, and so I'm just going to highlight and delete to get rid of what was in there, and I'm just going to Control V or Command V if you're on a Mac, And now I've got my journaling. Now I'm going to come up, or I'll just do Control I, because I want to check my spelling. And I'll just go through and change some of my spelling here. And now I'm done. So I'll hit click done. And that's it for writing everything out. Now I could adjust it more if I want this text to be bigger or smaller. One thing that I am going to do is I want to adjust this. I really do love the gray, but I'm going to be printing this on a laser printer, and gray does not look very well. So I'm just going to highlight it. I'm going to come over here to this little T, and I'll probably replace, and I'll just click on, if you can see this little black and white right here, I'm going to click on this layer, which is for outlining or strokes, I guess, and it's going to highlight my text to black. So now it's black, like I said, and I'll probably do it for this too. I can see that this is actually not a black, it's a gray. And I'll do the same for that. So I really, like I said, I really do love it gray, but because I'm going to do it laser, I want it to be black. And I want to move this over just slightly. So there's just a little bit more. And I could move that over as well if I wanted a little bit more space. And one other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the type tool, highlight it, and I'll just hit a return because I want it to be a little bit farther down. And I could do that again if I wanted, or I could just adjust this box a little bit more if I wanted to as well. Okay, now I am satisfied and I want to print it. So the first thing I'm going to do, because I do not want to print any of this, is I'm going to highlight it and I'm just going to delete. Never fear. I can go back and I can actually Control or Command Z and I could bring it back, or when I save this document, I don't need to save it. And so it will bring back my picture. So I'm just going to delete it there. Now I'm going to hit Command or Control P, and it's going to bring up my print dialog box. Now there's a couple things in here that I just want to go over, and some settings that I use. First, I guess I'm going to hit cancel out here so I can show you. I want to come over to Pages, and I want to show you that this document has 10 pages in it. So if I go ahead and print, if I go ahead and set this up and hit print, it's going to print all 10 pages. But I only want it to print this one 4x6. So I'm going to come down to the document. I'm going to find where it's highlighted, and it's on number 4. You can see that it's kind of grayed out. So this is the only one that I want to print. So I'm going to come back to Control P or Command P, depending on if I'm on a Mac or a PC. And it's set right here on range. So if I click range, and then I will set it to highlight, and then I'll just put 4. And now it's only going to print number 4. And that's exactly what I want. If you wanted all 10, then you would hit all. And you could also do current page if you knew that it was highlighted on your current page, but that's also an option there. Or you could do like 4 through 5, and then it will do 4 and 5. So those are just some options that you have there. I want to make sure that the printer of choice is set. And then I want this document to print in the middle. So I'm going to come over to Setup, and then I'm going to come down to Page Position, and I'm going to click, and I'm going to go to Centered. So you could have it any place that you wanted. You know, you could do it horizontally or vertically. You could even change the scale if you wanted, but of course I want it to be exactly the way I set it up. Then I could also do crop marks if I wanted to make it easier for me to print out. I could do that as well. And then I'm going to go up to, let's see. Okay, so one thing I also wanted to mention is I've heard a lot of people say when they're printing with a laser printer that the print actually rubs off. And I have read and I've heard that it has something to do with not setting up your printer properly. So I just want to let you know, when you're printing on anything other than like text paper or plain paper, you want to adjust your settings. So I'm going to come up to Setup for my printer and go to Preferences. And then let's see, I'm going to bring this over here so you can see it. And instead of plain paper, I'm going to click on thick paper, or I could even do thicker paper. So I usually use 80-pound cardstock, and I do thick paper. And I'm going to set this to 1200 because I want it to print the best that it can. And instead of graphics, I'm going to do text because I'm obviously doing type. So I'm just going to click OK, and then I can hit print, and then I can hit print, and then it's going to send it to the printer, and then I'll show it to you when I'm done. Okay, so here's the print that I just made, and I'm going to take this 4x6 card and I'm going to put it over here. And a lot of the time I will print this out so it's got the box around it so I know exactly where to put this. But right now I think what I'll do is I'll just lift it up and put it against a window. So I'll stick some sticky on the back of here, and then I'll stick this on. I'm going to put it on a window to make sure I have it placed just right, and then I'm going to go ahead and put it through my printer once again. Okay, you guys, this is what it looked like. Now I changed a few things. I made it black. I made the text black because it was gray before, and I'm just trying to pull it off. I just, do it really carefully. So you can see that this was gray, and this is not an inkjet, this is a laser jet. So it doesn't really print gray very well. And then I changed the title because I didn't, I wasn't sure what I was doing. So anyway, that's how that one is. And I haven't done the other one, so I'll probably do that off screen. But what I'm going to go ahead and do is just speed up this process. All right, so I'm going to continue to work with this photo and putting it onto my 4x6 card that I printed out. And I'm just adjusting it. I want it to be flush with the outside, give the picture and the text just a little bit more padding. And then I'm going to move on to the other 3x4 card. And I did print that off screen. So you didn't see me do that, but it was the same as the other one. And then I'm going to cut off that picture because I didn't leave enough room with the journaling because I had a little bit more journaling for that picture. So now what I'm doing is I'm going through my Studio Calico kit for September. And I'm kind of funny in that when I get a kit, like let's say the August kit, I want to use it for all my Project Life spreads for my August. And for some reason, I realized it's halfway through September and I have not used this kit yet. It's just been sitting on my desk. So I'm deciding to pull it out, and I'm looking through it and I'm trying to see if there's anything that I want to use. Now, I've seen some samples on Pinterest and also on Studio Calico. So I know that there is quite a bit of outdoorsy type stuff. And there's other great things as well. And what I'm doing here as I'm going through is I'm sorting it with the cards that I think that I would potentially use for this week, and cards that I would save for another week, or cards that maybe wouldn't apply. So that's how I'm sectioning these out. Like that one card that just said weekend or our stories matter. Those are cards that you can definitely use, obviously, on any spread. So I'm just kind of messing around and trying to decide which ones potentially that I could be using for this week. And just while I'm looking at it, the screen is a little off. It's a little unfocused, but I will fix that coming up. So don't have to worry about it too far. So I'm also pulling out some other cards from other Studio Calico kits. I think it's either from probably the August or July one. I can't remember, but it was definitely one of the summer months. So I'm just moving things around because I want that card on the outside. If you've noticed, I definitely put my photos and stuff in place, and then I move it around based on what I need. So I'm taking those color theory letters, and the reason why I laugh is because this was I don't want to say it was a disaster because it's not like it was hard to do, but those letters were so small. It took so long, and I was ripping them, and in the end, I was thinking to myself, I'm not using these again. I think they're really cute and I do like the way it looks. I just thought it was
kind of difficult. And I've seen a lot of people stick the stickers right on these plastic, some type of wax paper or plastic, and use it to line everything up and then put it on the paper. And you'll see that it doesn't really work that way for me. Some of them come off, they don't all stick down. So it was kind of a pain, and I ended up just sticking a few of them on separately anyway. So I guess I wish I had just done that from the very beginning and used my pliers, because it would have been, it just would have been easier that way. So I guess the next time I go to use them, then I'll know better for next time. But just be careful if you're using these. They are pretty fragile, and very thin, but I do like the way that it looks on this card, and you can see that they're not all 100% even, and I'm totally okay with that. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish that up and then write in my journaling, and you'll see here that I'm putting a box around the word homecoming. I really wanted it to feel grounded. It just kind of felt like it was floating. That happens a lot of times when I'm working with just a blank piece, just a white card, that I feel like it needs a little something. So I just added the box to it. Okay, so I'm moving on to my title card, and I thought I would do something a little bit differently, and I would stamp the dates over and over again. And I thought that would be a really creative, fun way. And, while I was doing it, I was like, oh, I'm not really liking the way that this is working out. I don't know if it was because it was all the same color, maybe if I had mixed it up, but you'll see here in the end, I think what it is, and honestly, here's the thing. I really love white space. I love minimalism. I like that. And for some reason, when I'm using like blank white cards or 3x4 cards or 4x6 cards, I struggle. I don't really love it. Like I need something. So anyway, that's why I decided to end up cutting that up, because I just don't end up loving it. I want some color, something in the background. Like again, something to feel like it's anchored down. So because though the numbers and letters were all messy, I decided to try and cut it out messy as well, so that it would kind of fit, even though that card is very straight and linear. I decided to go messy on that. Anyway, so I'm continuing on just writing in my journaling about my week that I spent with doTERRA. It was not an expected week, but I had a lot of fun and really enjoyable. And then I'm just going to finish that card up at the top. And I definitely want to add a little something, an embellishment up there, but I just am not sure which I want to do. And I figure it out in the end, but I'm just going to mess around with my embellishments for a while. I've got some corkboard, I've got some chipboard, and I just kind of mess around for a while until I figure out how I want this to go. Some of those chipboard pieces that I've had for so long. So I can't, I love them and I want to use them, but I'm kind of excited for them to just finally get done, because I've had them since last year. I think maybe I need to do another purge and just like give away some of my supplies. So maybe I'll do that coming up in a video, is give away some of my supplies from kits that I'm just not using. So, okay, so this is kind of interesting. I found this Post-it note. I can't remember when my daughter did this. It was a while ago, but I found this Post-it note that she drew this picture of a camera. And I just thought it went so perfectly with the story this week, because right now, in this time of year, especially in the fall, people are constantly asking that they want their photos taken. They want their family photos. They want senior photos. So I just wanted to write a little story about that, because a lot of times, that's not something I do professionally. I teach, I don't really take a lot of pictures, so people tend to come out this time of year and not other times of year because, like I said, I'm not really in business, so I'm not advertising myself. And so that was just a story that I wanted to tell. I've already done multiple photo shoots since the beginning of September, and I just think it's quite interesting. So I'm going through my stash of cards right now, and I'm looking for, this is in the Midnight Edition, which is Liz Tamanaha. I believe that's probably still available. And I love Liz's kits because they're very monotone. I love the black and whites and that you can use them for so many things. So I'm just using it to back our tickets from the state fair, which was a crazy experience. I don't know where you're from, but I will never go to a state fair again on the last day. It was insane to say the least. So not really a whole lot that we could do because lines were so long and it was just packed. So anyway, that's my 2 cents for the state fair, at least in the state of Utah. So again, I'm just messing around with my embellishments and trying to decide really what I want to do. And I end up pulling out, I'm wondering if I'm going to do that right now, but I really want to use that arrow, and I end up pulling out one of the Studio Calico cards. It's just a filler card. But I really loved what it said. I felt like it really says, let it all go. And I feel like it really just went with some of the stories for this week. My husband's changing careers, and that's, the upper right photo, the journaling was about that. And I just felt like, there was a lot of complicated things going on, and just letting it all go was just a theme that I wanted to keep with this month. So I'm just adjusting all the cards so that they would fit. I wanted that card to be under that story. And then I didn't want the cork boards to be on top of each other. And so that's why I kept mixing them up. So just one of those little things. So now I'm trying to decide if I want to cover that Never Stop Growing, because really that's a card I used last week, and I didn't want to use it 2 weeks in a row because it says the exact same thing. But actually what I end up doing is I really like it there. So I end up changing the card on the other side in the other week. So that's not something that you're going to see in this video, but that's what I decided to do. So anyway, you guys, this is the layout for this week. I hope you got some inspiration from it. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comment section below, and I will definitely get back to you. Actually, there is one more thing that I decided to do. That homecoming card was just a little too plain, and I wanted to add a little embellishment to it. So I decided to go with the corkboard since it's been a theme this week. So now I'm done. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. And if you like what you saw, don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time. Bye.